Yo, what's up, guys? How's it going? Give me 1 second. I was gonna go live on Instagram, but apparently I'm blocked from going live on Instagram. I'll talk about that in a second here. Give me 1 minute. How's everybody doing? What's up, Beta Alpha? All right. What's up, guys? So, see some updates. Been a very interesting week. A lot happening on. Very busy. Just moved into my new place finally. So settled in my new house. Really awesome place. Lots of nature around me. Really high vibe, peaceful place to live. So I'm stoked about that. And yeah, things are good. So also another update. Actually, before I say that, I need to update something really quick. So I'm doing a webinar this Saturday, 2 days from now, on semen retention with my friend Nakula Das. He's a great guy. We've been friends for a while. He's a yogi, and we've done some videos together on my YouTube channel. But we're going to be doing this workshop on semen retention. So I'm going to post a link to that here in my last video because I forgot to put it in there. Let's see here. Then we'll get to the main subject today, which is the porn pandemic. Yeah. Here, I'm going to post the link in the chat box for now. So here's the link to the workshop I'm doing this weekend. Check that out. Sign up for that. It's free. It's going to be really awesome. So the porn pandemic, guys, this is one of the biggest issues on the planet that we're facing right now. Is porn addiction, the porn industry, the men being addicted to porn, all kinds of people being addicted to porn. Even women have reached out to me about porn addiction. So this is a huge pandemic across the world, much bigger pandemic than COVID, in my opinion. So why is this a problem? I mean, I know a lot of you are here because you're aware of this issue, but porn is this deep. It's the most accessible drug on the planet. It really is a drug. When you watch porn, your brain goes through all these chemistry changes. Dopamine gets released like crazy. The reward chemical, your dopamine levels go like off the scale when you're watching porn video after porn video, leads to desensitization. The porn receptors get shut off because the brain's like, something's not right here. I shouldn't be secreting this much dopamine. So it turns off the porn receptors, or the porn receptors. I guess they basically are the dopamine receptors. So there's that aspect, but also just it's overstimulating. It's all this sexual imagery, and you kind of become numb to it. It's like, okay, well, just normal sex isn't really doing it for me anymore. I need something much more extreme. So you start getting into all this weird shit, and it starts to be the only way you can get aroused anymore. And this leads to what's called porn-induced erectile dysfunction. Basically, you no longer find your physical partner very stimulating because you're used to watching, gangbangs or some weird shit, right? So this is one of the many problems with it. Not to mention we could say sort of the energetic complexities of what's happening when you're looking at porn. You completely open up your energy field when you're in an aroused state. When you're, feeling juicy, feeling horny, you're raising your vibration, you're opening up your energy field, you're expanding it. The problem with doing this on a porn site is that there's all these nasty astral entities hanging out, kind of linked to that porn site, linked to these images you're looking at. Because when you're connecting, with an image in porn, you're beaming out your energy. Because when a man's sitting there jerking off looking at porn, he's not connected to his body. He's projecting out into this porn image. He's projecting out into cyberspace, into the astral realms. And there's all these, dark astral entities just sucking up all this juicy gene that the man's jerking off, just sending it out of his body happily. So, and you start to bond yourself to these things. You start to get glued to these entities. You start to get glued to these porn sites because that's what sexual energy does. It binds you to things. It attaches you to things. It's like glue. It glues you to things, right? So um, there's a lot of complexities here, right? But basically, when a man's addicted to porn, constantly ejaculating, he's literally ejecting his life force out of his body day after day after day. He's depleted. He's a slave. And it leads to low testosterone levels. It leads to having no motivation, having no drive, not being able to get things done. So you have a man who's a slave, basically. And there's this vicious cycle of like, okay, it's short-term pleasure. It's very short-lived. The male ejaculatory orgasm lasts about 10 seconds, maybe 15 if it's really good, right? 15 seconds of pleasure for a day or several days of feeling, at this very, very low state, because that ejaculatory orgasm, again, releases your life force. First of all, the chemistry in your body changes. Prolactin is released into the bloodstream. Prolactin is a very feminine hormone. It suppresses testosterone. So guys who are jerking off to porn every day, they have high levels of prolactin. Their testosterone's low, so they just feel like, sitting on the couch all day. And this leads to depression, brain fog, lack of motivation, as I said. And so what are they going to do? Like, oh, well, I kind of feel like shit now. I jerked off to porn last night. Well, I guess I'll go, get on Pornhub and jerk off some more to get that 15 seconds of pleasure. This is the pattern of a drug addict. It's like, well, I need this short high and to get me going through the day. I'll just do that again and again. This is not a sustainable pattern. So this is what's happening to millions of men around the world. It's depleting their life force. They're unable to do the things they want to do. It's destroying their relationships because their physical partners are no longer as interesting to them. Their partners start to detect it because, when you're jerking off to porn, again, you're connecting to all these other astral entities. You're sending your energy off to this porn image. So it creates this really weird dynamic of your sexual energy, and your partner can tell that something's going on. So, it's very destructive on a matter of levels. And we could go as far to say that it's systematically been put in place to do so, to keep men across this planet weak, to keep them out of their true masculine power. Testosterone levels have been declining in the past decades, and there's many factors to this. And I think that the abundance of access to porn is a major contributing factor, because it's a whole different situation now. Like, anyone with a smartphone, anyone with, little kids have tablets and smartphones now. You can literally be looking at any possible type of porn within like 5 seconds, any given moment throughout the day. So it's just a free-for-all. It's the most accessible drug that we all have. And it's so normalized in our society that people don't even think twice about it. It's like, okay, well, we're all functioning addicts, right? Functioning in daily life, more or less, but still addicted to something. So I did a post about this on Instagram a few days ago and had some serious backlash. Some people were really triggered by this. Really, I had some comments from people who were, I guess they made porn themselves, and they were, calling me elitist, calling me an ableist, white privilege, all those things. This has nothing to do with race, has nothing to do with social class. This is a global problem. I have men and women from across the world, all races, all religions, reaching out to me about this issue. This goes beyond, race, religion, those types of things. So I'm actually being attacked on my Instagram right now. People are going after my account. They're reporting my my posts. Several of my posts are being taken down right now. I couldn't even go live today because all this is happening. So I'm being attacked right now because people didn't want to hear what I have to say. And, it's very interesting because we have these people who are, I'm so conscious in my life, but when they hear a perspective that challenges their belief, they feel attacked, they feel threatened. And it's like, if you truly believe in, the values that you're living, the things that you're saying, if you truly have solidarity in these beliefs that you have, then other people's beliefs shouldn't be a threat, because that, well, I know that this is my belief, and, it's fine. They can believe whatever they want to believe. But when you feel like you need to attack someone else because they think differently than you, this is the pattern that has been driving wars on our planet for thousands of years. This is a very, we'll say, unawakened, unevolved pattern, right? It's like, oh, he said this thing and it challenges my beliefs. I need to take him down. I need to silence this voice. There can only be my belief, right? This is the kind of thinking that leads to genocides, leads to extremists of all kinds of things. So it's like, guys, if we want to grow in our lives, if we want to change the world, right? Because all these shadows are coming out of the collective right now. All this chaos across the world it's been going on for a while now, right? Things are shifting, things are changing. The only way that we're going to make it through all this I don't want to sound like pessimistic. I'm very optimistic. I think things are going to work out phenomenally on this planet. But if we truly want to reach the states of harmony and growth and balance in this world, it's not going to happen by saying, I'm right, they're wrong, nothing they say is right. It's like we all have our own truth, but it's like there's our truth, there's someone else's truth, but there's always like the true truth, right? There's like the truth. And the only way you're only ever going to find the truth is by being open to other people's ideas. It's like when you're a full cup, you have like, oh, I know everything there is to know. I'm very set in my beliefs. You become very rigid. You have nothing else. You stop growing. You start, becoming angry at other people that challenge your beliefs and saying, no, you're wrong, I'm right. Name calling, saying things like you're elitist, you're ableist, whatever. Anyways, I'm kind of going on a tangent here. I apologize, guys, but it's been a very interesting week. There's a lot going on right now. My Instagram account's been shut off. It's been deactivated before, and I got it back, so I'm not worried about it. But it's just very interesting to me. These people that are preaching conscious living and being awakened and things like this, but at the same time they're trying to get other people's accounts shut down. That is not open-minded. That is not promoting freedom. That is promoting your belief and nothing else, right? It's a very extremist point. So anyways, thanks for listening to my rant. Let's get into some questions. I'm not on Instagram because I'm blocked on Instagram right now. I couldn't go live on there. Censorship is getting crazy right now. We are at an unprecedented age of censorship. We are in the middle of a war, planet-wide information war. It's an all-out war, and it's very, very interesting. This brings me to something I was thinking about. It's like so many of the things that people are concerned about right now in this world are not actually things that's happening around them in their immediate life. It's things that they're seeing through the media, things that they're seeing on social media, seeing on CNN. That is what people are focused on and reacting to, is like this illusion, really. It's like anything. It's like, well, all these things in my screen, most of these things aren't even happening in your immediate reality, right? It's like when you turn off your damn TV, turn off the news, turn off social media, just like be where you are, get out in nature, everything's fine. And so it's just very interesting how disconnected people are getting from their own bodies, from their own immediate reality, and just projecting onto all these images they're seeing in the news and things like that. So it's very interesting. So interesting times, guys, but do your own research. I don't recommend following mainstream news. They all have an agenda, and enjoy life. Go out in nature, drink some fresh water, do some qigong, do some meditation, breathe in the fresh air, and just enjoy life. We're at a very exciting time right now. Things are shifting, things are transforming like crazy. It's a little chaotic, it's a little crazy, but if you stay grounded, if you have an internal practice, you connect with the earth, then you're going to ride these waves like a surfer and just have a great time. All right, question time. Well, I'll be able to focus on YouTube since I couldn't go live on Instagram today. Why is it easier for me to bring down the sexual energy from the orbit instead of rising it? It's pretty normal that everyone has a different pathway that it's easiest to work with. For example, I found it very easy to bring the energy up the spine, but for a long time, I couldn't get it down the front of the body. I had some blockages in my front channel. So it's pretty normal to have one channel, of the microcosmic orbit. It's pretty common to have one side easier to work with, basically. So the front channel is considered more yin. It's the water channel. So maybe your yin nature is more effortless, more fluid. Maybe it's your yang nature, your kind of masculine self that you're kind of having some issues with, some blockages with, just something to look into. But working more with the practices, opening it up, eventually you'll be able to really open that pathway. Why are the first 3 days on NoFap very hard? Well, good question. I'm trying to think back to when I was kind of getting semen retention. Probably because when you're like post-orgasm, post-ejaculatory orgasm, it's fresh in your mind. You know, that feeling of like, oh, that orgasm felt so good, and I just want to have another one. I think especially because you're at a very low state for those, day, 2 days, 3 days after having an ejaculation. Typically, you're a very hormonal state, so you're kind of craving something that's going to make you feel good, and an ejaculation is going to make you feel good. So it's like, well, I just want to do that again, because after a week, your energy's up, your testosterone's up, you're feeling great. It's like, I'm not gonna, jerk off and lose this. So, I think that has something to do with it. But as you develop your practice, this is why I really encourage you guys to do Qigong, to do breathwork, meditation, build your Qi, guys, build your Qi. This is what is going to make you a master of this stuff, is build your Qi, learn to circulate energy throughout your body, and you'll feel great. This also starts to nourish your gene so that if you do ejaculate, it doesn't become so depleting. When you have a strong sexual kung fu practice, ejaculation here and there no longer becomes a big deal because you don't have the same loss of energy, right? I'm not saying go out and ejaculate all the time, but I'm just saying, things start to balance out more when you have a strong daily practice, and you no longer become a slave to like craving ejaculation constantly. Is there heavy prolactin release with solo masturbation where you're focusing on sensation and not necessarily lustful thoughts and controlled breathing? I will say that as far as orgasm, the longer you can kind of ride the orgasmic plateau, meaning like the longer you're able to extend your session, the more you're able to get into this full body state. It causes more of a balanced sort of, I don't exactly know the chemistry, but it seems to cause a more balanced sort of wave of orgasm and the wave after the orgasm as well, because the sexual energy has a chance to rise through the body. When it's like maximum stimulation, jerk off really quick, ejaculation in like a few minutes, then that's a very heavy loss of energy. But when it's like more slow, more mindful, breathing deeply, opening up the body, the sexual energy has a chance to flow through the entire body. The hormones, everything has a chance to move through the body. Then if you ejaculate after an hour of like really mindful sexual stimulation, it's not going to be as draining, basically. Okay, regressive hypnosis. Okay, what's my view on regressive hypnosis for removing sexual traumas, benefits and dangers? So I'm not completely familiar, with this modality, but I know that some people have great success with hypnosis, kind of therapy, counseling, things like that. So it works for a lot of people. So it can definitely be something to look into, I guess. For me, what's been most effective for me is the Taoist internal energy arts. Where you're really working with the life force, working with these patterns of blockage in the body, removing them, things like that. But there's so many modalities, there's so many approaches to it. And sometimes doing multiple things can make it even more powerful. Do I have issues with my Cowper glands being sensitive after sex? No, I have not had that issue. Why is it when it comes to porn, female viewership is never talked about? Well, I think statistically it's a bit less likely or less common amongst women, but it's definitely still there. And I'm finding more and more that women, there's women who are struggling with porn addiction as much as men. So I imagine it's going to increase in the future, kind of women speaking out about this as well. Before we had to steal the sex magazine from our uncle with some pictures. Yeah, it was like back in the day. I remember when I was a kid, it was like it was like Playboy magazines. It's like, you had to work to find porn, right? Versus the internet now, it's just like, oh, here's a smartphone. 5 seconds, I'm on, weird fetish porn sites. It's just, it's nuts. Like, it's a good thing it wasn't like that when I was a kid. That's all I can say. I would have lost a lot more gene probably. Now that I think about it, I was kind of getting over my porn addiction before porn tube sites and everything were like really getting big. I remember like in my teenage years, it was like I had to like download a video. It was like dial-up connection. It'd take like 20 minutes to download like a 10-second video, you know. So it was a little more mellow back then as far as porn, whereas now it's just like it's just all over the place, like, you know, high-speed internet, HD video quality. It's crazy. Not to mention like virtual reality and like sex robots, all the weird technological, like, I don't know. I'm optimistic for humanity, but you know, there's a lot of weird shit happening on the planet. Will I ever smoke weed again? I've had cannabis on, oh, the desk almost fell apart. I've had cannabis on occasion. You know, it's very rare for me, but again, I'm not like an extremist about things. I'm like, I'm never ever doing these things again. But it's like, it's definitely not going to be part of my daily life again, because when I do have it, sometimes I have like great insights, great like openings, and like, oh wow, you know, I'm in such a completely different space, but I always feel horrible, like just drained the next day. You know, it really depletes my genes. So it's not something I do regularly or even like semi-regularly at all. How old am I? I'm 31. Okay, here's a good question. Do I believe in prenatal gene, meaning inherent gene that cannot be recovered? Well, prenatal gene is it's a concept that's very different amongst, if you're looking at like Chinese medicine versus if you're looking at Taoist alchemy. And especially Chinese medicine, are you looking at CCM or TCM, classical Chinese medicine, or traditional Chinese medicine, or as one of my teachers calls it, truncated communist medicine? Because in traditional Chinese medicine really isn't traditional. It's only been around since the 1950s. What happened was when the Communist Party was coming to power, they, you know, took all this Taoist stuff and like classical Chinese medicine. They're like, okay, there's really something to this. It really is effective. It works. But you know, they were very against religion, things like that. So they took out all of the sort of spiritual aspects of Chinese medicine, you know, talking about like the Shen, the organ spirits and things like that. And they made it very kind of mechanical. So they had to kind of let go of this idea. And they're like, okay, prenatal gene means you're only born with this much gene, and how you use it's up to you. And once you use it, it's gone forever. This is not the viewpoint of the Taoist alchemical approach, in that one of the goals and applications of Taoist internal alchemy, you know, Neidan, as it's known, is to actually connect with that prenatal gene and bring more through the Ming Men. The Ming Men's like this portal to the prenatal, or the mysterious past, the mysterious gate. That's one of the aims of Taoist alchemy, is to open this portal, the mysterious gate to the prenatal, bring in more of this prenatal gene, therefore achieving immortality. It's because you're connected to that gene. So no, I don't believe that once, you know, that gene cannot be recovered. For maybe like 98% of people on the planet, probably, yeah, their gene can't be recovered because they don't have the skill and the knowledge to recover the gene. But through herbalism, through proper diet, nutrition, through especially internal practice, you can supplement yourself with gene. Okay, would I say nipple stimulation is gay for men? Heard it releases oxytocin. Well, first of all, I don't think that any type of stimulation automatically would make you gay. Like, how is it that touching a certain area of your body all of a sudden changes your sexual preference? It doesn't make any sense. You know, first of all, why should you be concerned? You know, anyways, no, I don't think it makes you gay. I think nipple stimulation can be very pleasurable and actually can help awaken this area of the body. Most men are completely solely experience sex and sexual connection through the genitals, and they're disconnected from other areas of the body. So it can be an effective way, you know, stimulating the nipples to get your whole body involved in arousal. Do I ever miss a day of practice or can't be bothered? It is extremely rare for me to fully miss a day of practice. You know, for me, what I consider now missing a day of practice is like only doing 30 minutes of practice in the morning, you know, because I'm always doing my practice. Last time I can think of I missed a day was probably when I was like traveling, you know, all day in the airport, things like that. But I rarely miss a day because it feels amazing for me to do my practice. So it's like I basically like structure my day around my practice, because not out of like a militant, you know, I don't want to, but I have to. It's like, I love it. I love doing the sexual kung fu practices. They get me incredibly high. They make me feel amazing. So it's the first thing I want to do when I wake up in the morning. If all my socials would be taken down, how would we find you? Good question. You know, it's like, this was a big realization I had last August when my Instagram account got taken down. I was like, oh shit, like, you know, I'm kind of buying into these platforms, but, you know, we kind of have to play by their rules. You know, Instagram is just something, you know, the owners of Instagram own Facebook, and it's just they're, you know, we could go into the global elite and all the weird agendas happening. But anyways, if anything should happen, if my Instagram gets taken down, I haven't had any problems on YouTube, but you never know. If my YouTube gets taken down, make sure that you are on my email list, which you're on if you've gotten my free ejaculation control guide. If not, look at any of my videos. There'll be a link to that in the description, and you'll get the guide. So if by, you know, entering your email, getting the guide, you're on my email list. So that's how you can, you know, stay in touch with me. And I have my website, of course, which will always be there because I own it. I own that digital space. Yeah, it's a very interesting time, isn't it? Who knows what's going to happen, but I'm optimistic. Is meat frowned upon in Taoist circles? Example, in Hindu circles, eating meat is said to produce karmic cycles and trap you in the lowest animalistic nature. No, it's not in Taoism. I mean, one of the aims of Taoism can be sort of transcending, well, not exactly transcending, but they call it bigu, which is basically becoming a breatharian, right? That's like the ultimate state of immortality, you know, no longer eating grains, no longer eating food, no longer needing to drink water, just being an immortal, which, you know, is only practical if you're like living in a cave or something, right? But no, the Taoists aren't particularly against eating meat. You know, Chinese medicine, meat has very tonifying, heat building qualities to it. It's good for if you're kind of weak constitutionally or in the winter and things like that. Okay, as we grow older, our metabolism slows down to break down food, leading to problems like getting pre-diabetic, high triglyceride, in my scenario due to lack of exercise. Will these breathing and moving energy upwards help in improving the above two conditions? Thanks. Okay, so basically health, right? Longevity, preventing aging, preventing the body breaking down. Many factors to this. So yes, Qigong can be a very helpful remedy to this because Qigong is basically doing acupuncture to yourself. Acupuncturists work with the energy meridians of the body. So there's all these rivers of qi throughout the body, you know, these channels. We can think of them as like circuits on electrical circuits, right? And when a circuit gets a blockage, then the electricity is not able to flow through there, right? Same thing with the body. When there's a qi blockage in a channel, things aren't flowing there. Life force isn't flowing there. That's when we start to have disease. You know, we start to have issues. So that's kind of, you know, a basic overview of like acupuncture and Chinese medicine is correcting deficiencies and excess, too much energy in a channel or not enough. And so Qigong is a very effective way of improving your health, improving your digestion, things like that. Of course, I can't make medical claims, but personally, I greatly improved my health by practicing my Qigong practice. I feel younger, more energized now than I did in my early 20s, and I'm 31. Lots of other things you can do. You know, proper nutrition is extremely important. Realize that we are being poisoned through our food, poisoned through our water, our drinking water, poisoned in the air, chemicals being dumped on us. You pretty much can't live on this planet without being poisoned by all the shit that's, you know, been put in our food, our water, our clothes, the like receipt papers you get at the store. It's insane, right? So being aware of nutrition, you know, avoiding GMOs, avoiding pesticides, clean air, clean water, things like that. Proper exercise is going to be very helpful in general for longevity. Cultivating your sexual energy is very important as well, because that's one of the things that keeps you young is cultivating that sexual energy, moving it through the body, connecting with those hormones and things like that. I have difficulty to imagine the energy while doing testicle breathing. How do I know I'm doing it correctly? So first of all, don't worry about like seeing it in your mind. You want to make this more of a body-centered, like tangibly, it's like a feeling sense. Like what you can do is kind of like brush from your testicles up your back, up to the top of your head. Do that several times, or have a partner do that, have someone else do it, and just start to feel that kinesthetic sense of movement, right? And then you start to reproduce that with your mind awareness. So of course it's something that takes practice, but eventually you develop your skill with it. So it's just you just have to practice basically, and don't try to do it from your head. Like just visualizing, you want to feel your body, use your awareness in your body to do the practice. Does semen retention have any positive or negative effect on testosterone levels? Yes, it can have both. Positive effects, it boosts testosterone. I mean, I guess it depends if that's, if you already have like super high testosterone, maybe more testosterone. Excessively high testosterone can actually cause issues. All these guys like, I need maximum testosterone. I'll take all these testosterone boosters, but you can have too much testosterone to the point where like you have super high blood pressure, premature ejaculation. Having really high testosterone can make you ejaculate faster. So you want balanced, like you want high, levels of testosterone, but not like super high, right? You can have insomnia, high blood pressure from too much testosterone, right? So just something to be aware of. But in general, semen retention boosts your testosterone levels, especially the first month. But there's not enough scientific research. I'd love to like see someone, do more like scientific study on the stuff, but I've seen it's a possibility that after about 3 months or so of semen retention, your testosterone actually starts to drop. It's kind of like an atrophy type of situation, but I have a feeling that when you're doing like testicle massage, having non-ejaculatory sex or self-stimulation, whatever, testicle breathing practices, that it keeps your testicles, your genitals healthy, keeps those glands healthy and active, because it's really a use it or lose it type situation. So I encourage a very balanced approach to semen retention. I do not encourage you to like, oh, I'm just never touching my junk again, never touching my genitals again, and keep yourself healthy, basically. Jonathan, what should we focus on mainly during century count? Century count, you're just focusing on your breath, and you're counting each breath. So just breathing deeply and smoothly and counting each breath. So it's like inhale and exhale. That's one breath. Again, breathing from the belly. Inhale and exhale. That's 2 breaths. So you're just feeling your belly expand and contract, and you're counting each breath. And if you forget, you lose count, you start back over. So this is mental training, and also helps you stay parasympathetic, helps you stay relaxed and calm. What do you know about the white path between the 2 rivers and the gateless barrier? Those are Taoist alchemical terms. All the terminology, I'm not great with it. It's like, you read any of these classical Taoist texts, and it's just like they were really hiding, the things that they were teaching. It's like you can read these alchemical texts, but you're not going to learn anything from it, because it's like, oh, okay, it's the white pass. Okay, the white moon on the mountain peak. It's like, okay, what does that mean, right? So it's like they kind of coded their teachings in these texts. So it's difficult to find the real stuff. I will say that. Can you watch porn and not ejaculate? You can, but it's not ideal. It's not beneficial. It has the same negative effects on your brain chemistry. It causes, when you watch porn, it causes this like false fire stimulation, because it's like, it's kind of that illusion that, there's a naked woman in front of you, but you're not getting any of that yin that you would get when you're actually with a woman. So it just like stimulates this fieriness to where like you have to ejaculate it out almost. Like the Taoists call this dead gene. It's like gene. So it's like this sexual energy is stimulated in a very intense way, but there's no fulfillment for it. What I found is like, again, I was experimenting this early on in my journey. I was like, okay, well, what if I just watch porn and don't ejaculate? It wasn't pleasant. It gave me headaches. Again, it was just like this intense overstimulated energy, and it actually gave me premature ejaculation. Is like, because there'd be all this pressure from that intense arousal, because it's just a different type of arousal when you're watching porn. It's very unbalanced, and the only way I could release that pressure was by ejaculating. So I don't recommend it, basically. I want to sleep with multiple attractive girls as I'm a sexual guy. Is it unadvisable since I will lose a lot of semen? Well, just learn to keep the semen within your body. Learn to have non-ejaculatory sex. This is what the the emperors of ancient China would do. They'd have like all these concubines, all these wives and things, to just have sex with like 20-something girls in one night without ejaculating, just extract all that energy. But this is kind of like sexual vampirism, so I don't really vibe with that stuff. But it's possible. Okay. Oh yeah, I'm gonna post the link to my workshop again this weekend. I'll post it on this video. If you're watching later, I'll post it in the description of this video. But so I'm doing this free semen retention workshop training this weekend. So there's a link to it. Okay, do we need to do Qigong before we do microcosmic orbit? I prefer to do breathing exercise before doing microcosmic orbit. Well, I mean, not necessarily. I would say it's very helpful because the tendency for a lot of people, myself included in the beginning, was like kind of over mentalizing these practices, like just trying to do it from the head, just trying to like visualize the microcosmic orbit. It's very different than actually activating your body. So Qigong really helps you to get that mind-body connection strengthened and can make your microcosmic orbit. I teach a whole Qigong form in my 6-week course to open the microcosmic orbit, and it helps you. People who've taken the course have found it very, very helpful in getting a tangible sense of energy moving. That's one of the values of Qigong practice. And then you sit and do the meditation. It's like it's already flowing. It's like, ooh, that thing's open, and it's just like enhancing it. So I think it helps. How to deal with the tension and the horniness while recovering from porn. I currently do sets of push-ups and squats, but even still, not watching and ejaculating leads to insomnia. So here's the issue of having all this extra energy and not having an outlet for it. This is the common thing in semen retention. That's why, in my opinion, it's crucial to have an internal practice. Physical exercise usually isn't enough. It's not enough to transmute the sexual energy. Qigong, Qigong practices, go through my Qigong playlist, breath work, meditation, specifically working with the microcosmic orbit, because you need to clearly define a pathway in your body for that sexual energy to be expressed in a different way, raising it up, through the orbit, because just physical exercise usually isn't going to do that for you. So practice Qigong, practice the microcosmic orbit meditation. And that's really what my 6-week course focuses on, is like really doing semen retention the right way, basically doing sexual cultivation the right way. The foundations, clearing old patterns out of the body, opening the body up to handle this high charge of sexual energy. Because I hear you. That was my problem when I was starting to do semen retention way back in the day. Was like I just got really horny. I wasn't doing anything else with that energy. So it was like, well, now I just have all this extra energy that I'm not doing anything with. So when I started doing Qigong, meditation, and grounding that sexual energy, that's a big part of it, is grounding that energy. My course, I teach specific exercises to connect your sexual energy to the earth. It cools down that sexual energy, makes it less volatile, makes it less, out of control for you. So it's really about having an internal practice and balancing that energy. Do my sequences always change during Qigong? Do I do the same routine every day? I switched up. I've learned over 20 Qigong forms. I'm studying Tai Chi, I'm studying Xingyi, Bagua, these internal energy arts, Taoist Neigong practices. So I change it up a lot. I do a lot of Zhanzhuan, which is static standing postures, tapping into the earth energy, that Peng energy. But my routine changes a lot. I'm really focusing on Tai Chi and Xingyi and some different Qigong stuff right now, though. But what I found is that the movements themselves aren't particularly important. It's really the mechanics, the deep energetics behind Qigong. You can just wave your arms around in different ways and, nothing's going to happen because it's just physical movement. It's how do you engage the energy body in the movement. That is what Qigong is. That's what Tai Chi is. Once you know how to do that, it doesn't matter what type of movement you're doing, because you're like switched on, the energy's there, and you can be walking down the street basically doing Qigong. That's what I've discovered in my practice, is that the postures, the movements, they're kind of gateways to the true experience, the true gong, right? The true skill of cultivating energy, which is the end goal of qigong, right? So it's it's a deep path for sure. On the wait list. Awesome, brother. How did I come across this in my younger years? I discovered Montauk Chi's book, Multi-Orgasmic Man. You know, I'd heard about Tantra. I know I was into mystical stuff at a very young age. Really, my whole life, I was interested in, my favorite movie was Star Wars. I was like, the Force, I want to become a Jedi. I was very like kind of connected to these different planes, in my childhood, and tapped back into that in my early 20s. And so, I was exploring yoga, Kundalini yoga, meditation. And I started looking into Tantra, and that's when I found Montauk Chi's work, which really kind of got me started in the path. The books were not nearly enough for me to actually learn this stuff from, but they got me started, definitely. And I started seeking out teachers and going deep into it. "100 days in on semen retention, just now taking this part seriously. Will Qigong help me with my manifestations?" It depends what your manifestations are. Qigong can definitely help you because you start to develop that relationship with life force, starts to flow through you, and your whole life starts to flow effortlessly once you have this abundant reservoir of qi, of energy, to create with, to flow and exchange with the world. Everything's an exchange. Everything's a yin-yang exchange. And so if you want something, you have to be putting something out as well. All right, guys. Let's see. Any last questions? I'm probably gonna jump off here in a moment. I'm gonna post this link one more time to the workshop this weekend I'm doing with my friend Nikula Das on semen retention. Okay, is edging fucking up my nervous system? I'm working on music, so I want to be sure. It depends how you're doing it. If you're watching porn, then yeah, it's gonna cause some issues for you. But overall, I will say the key to being able to edge successfully is to be able to get the sexual energy out of the genitals. Because if it's just stuck there in the balls, you're getting all this arousal built up, and it's just staying in the balls. It's going to be very congested. You're going to have blue balls. It's not that enjoyable. So being able to move the energy through the rest of the body, through sexual kung fu practices, is really one of the keys to edging and getting good results. Nikula's YouTube channel, just look up Nikula Das. I'll just type it in, Nikula Das. Yeah, check out his YouTube channel. He talks about semen retention and kind of yogic principles. But yeah, we're doing a workshop this weekend. Okay, do I notice needing less sleep with semen retention? Definitely in general, yeah. I find myself needing much less sleep and feeling a lot more charged after my sleep. Typically, it depends what else is going on in my life. There's a lot of factors to your health besides just semen retention. But overall, if you're living a balanced lifestyle and you start practicing semen retention, it can reduce your needs for sleep. But I don't encourage anyone to start cutting off hours of your sleep, just saying, well, I'm meditating, so I probably need less sleep. We live in such an overstimulated world, bombarded with so much stress and toxicity that sleep is very important for your balance, and it's when the body heals itself, basically. So don't try to make yourself sleep less, but if you naturally start sleeping less, then that's great. Do we need to change our diet for hot weather now since it's summertime? If yes, what kind of food changes? Okay, so in general, it's better to eat kind of more cooling foods in the summer. So I like to have watermelon. I like to have more fruits in the summer. I like to have more salads. I grow some greens in my garden. I'll have kale, things like that. So more kind of cooling foods. Eating a bit lighter. I mean, I eat a lot of fats and proteins because I go to the gym, I lift weights and things like that. But in general, it's good to have more raw foods, more fresh foods. So raw fruits and vegetables, greens, things like that. Smoothies, berries. What about ejaculating every 6 weeks? Is it true that, I'm not sure what that word is, semenness? Oh, matures fully after 90 days. Yeah, I've heard different timelines on how long it takes semen to mature. I've heard 6 weeks, I've heard 2 months, I've heard 90 days, so I'm not sure. But releasing every 6 weeks is a solid kind of cycle for a lot of people. If the general rule is, if you feel exhausted and depleted the day after ejaculating, then you should go for much longer. Superfoods, goji berries, moringa, Moringa, moringa leaf. It's like nature's multivitamin. It's packed with minerals, nutrients, amino acids. So moringa. What are my other superfoods? Maca powder is pretty awesome. Avocados. Eggs. I love eggs. I have eggs for breakfast every day. Only like, free range, pasture raised eggs personally. What I eat. Superfoods. Black sesame seeds are amazing. Super nutrient dense. I'm trying to think of anything else. I know there's a lot. I'm just like off the top of my head. Those are pretty solid though. Cold showers, and does it enhance on retention? Cold showers can be very beneficial. Kind of helps you deal with some of the excess heat that you can generate practicing semen retention. So I take cold showers every day. Okay, guys, I got to jump off. Thanks for joining me today. Again, I'm doing this workshop this weekend. So with Nakula Das on semen retention, check that out. And see what else. I don't know. Thanks for joining, and I'll see you guys next time. Take it easy.